Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Corsair Frame 5000. Just recently I did do the Frame 4000. This is its bigger brother, sister, however you want to put it. So the bigger version of it, and essentially the biggest upgrade from one to the other is now the fact that you can fit three 140mm fans in the roof, whereas on the 4000 it was just 120mm. There are multiple fan options throughout the rest of the case. There are customization options throughout the case as well, both ones that you can do at home and ones that Corsair are teasing us with they might be bringing out in the future. We'll cover that in more depth towards the end. But despite its size, it's, I'm going to say loosely, only £149. Now the £149 is the ARGB model. You can actually get it with just normal black or white fans, depending on the case colour that you get, for £125. But what we're going to do now is move on, get down and dirty with a proper good look around. There are a lot of things that I do need to cover with you, including some points that actually did irritate me quite a fair bit. And we'll talk more at the end about the promised modifications that might be coming. Now, I have the ARGB model, and these are the ARGB fans here with a big plethora of cables that just make me feel a bit poorly, if I'm honest. Obviously, you can get it with non-ARGB, but what I have done with this, because I needed to add an extra fan in to suit the way that we test anyway, and that is I've switched to IQ Link RX140 fans. Now, there is not a out-of-the-box IQ Link model, so this is kind of me doing an upgrade from the get-go. But I'm going to assume that a lot of you custom builders at home that are going to be building this sort of thing yourself and want to put extra fans in and move things around, you're going to end up doing something like this anyway. So I'm hoping you understand that's probably going to suit a lot of you more than me just leaving it with the standard fans and then having mismatched ones, because I'm not sure whether you can buy these direct from Corsair or not. So I've just gone straight in with the RXs. I always start at the top and the front, but this is one of those times where I actually need to come round the back to undo the screws first. And you can see we've got this little rubber tab here with Corsair written on it that I need to pull to be able to remove the top panel. The top panel design is very much in keeping with the branding, and there are same sort of cutouts here. It does just make life much more pleasing when you have a touch of the OCD or the OC3D if you want to be cringe. I've got my camera as high as I possibly can do at the moment, so you know what, I'm going to lower things down so that we can get a better look at the top of the case. And what that does allow us to do is get a good look at the InfiniRail system. Now, with the InfiniRail system in the roof, you can fit 120s or 140mm fans, and all you need to do is undo the screw and you can slide them side to side. So it keeps the rest of the roof area there that you can see open and free, and it's a similar setup in the front as well. Apart from in the front, there's many more fan options, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. So up to 140s in the roof, you can see that we do have some spare room around the side, access down into the top of the motherboard tray so that you can fit your fan cables through, because that's what this extra bit is for. Just down in here there is a tray, and you can slot your fan cable straight off the fan down the side if you need to. I do want to cover a limitation about that tray in a minute though, and effectively when I do show you, it's straight down here. We can't pass them straight down and through. So it's down in this bit and to go straight down the side of the motherboard tray. You'll understand when I get round the back, but I just wanted to show you this while we were here. If you're running IQ Link with them all joined together, then you're not going to have any issues. But if you are on ARGB or any normal sort of fan setups, you are going to want to poke cables down this way. And like I said, there is a bit of a limitation with that design. Also, over here, right at the very front, this pokes out, this goes in, so we've got an outie and then we've got an innie, and then there's no cable way that we can put through there either. It's a less than ideal situation. It did bother my OCD a fair bit. Again, we'll cover this sort of stuff again in more depth in a bit. The roof does go on nice and easily, and then we do have those fans that I said to you about that we don't, sorry. So, with that back up, we are here. Front panel, easily removed. It's got the new super airflow design on the front that was first seen on the 4000. You can see the familiarity with the smaller mesh that's on the roof, but obviously this is an intake, so we want lots and lots more airflow. Although it would be nice to see if there was options for us to be able to have it on the roof as well. Comes off really easily. Now, the front panel was one of the things with the 4000 that we were promised there was going to be customizable options, like, oh, you can do so many things with this because we can just remove it. And they showed us options in the video. Still not seen any of those options though. So this promise about customizability later, well, obviously it's not late enough yet, and I do want to cover that in more depth because I do think they're missing a trick, and if I'm honest, I don't think it's good enough. So, removable front panel, then we have the removable dust filter, very fine, and then we are into the front panel itself with the fans. InfiniRail system again. But with this, you can fit 120s, you can fit 140s, you can fit 180s and 200mm fans as well. If I zoom in, very old school and knocky, you can see the I/O down the bottom with your power switch, headphone and microphone combo. Then you've got 4 USB-A's and a USB-C. This little strip here is ARGB, and you can plug that into your motherboard so you can run it off of that as well if you would like. Don't forget there is no Corsair Link option for this case yet, so no chance of getting that all hooked up and syncing lovely just yet, but we live in hope. Now, as we, or I, do this and put the case all back together, what I'm going to do is stick it on its side so that we can get a glimpse of what's going on underneath, and what we can see is a rather large dust filter down there. Now this does actually come out the side, but I just wanted to show you the view from this kind of angle rather than me just grabbing it out, because we do get the first look at the fan mounts that we have in the base of the case as well. Now when I zoom in on the fan mounts, you'll see that there are actually screw options for the fans as well. So you've got 2 120s or 2 140 fan options in the floor, and they are actually threaded mounts, so you don't need those fans where you're like screwing into the fan with a self-tapper. It's actually a much more secure and probably easier option when you're going to be building it as well. Now, having a look at the back, one of the things I do want to say straight away is rear panel rotatable. You can vertically mount your graphics cards with this. You'll need a riser cable, but the riser cable you'll have to buy separately. You can either buy a Corsair branded one, or you can grab one of the many available online. You can even, if you want, spin the lower there are many cable routing options, and I do like this little Velcro one to be able to tidy everything up. This is also so that you can run a USB for your link and stuff, but having the Velcro there, I actually really like this. You do have an option for 120 and a 140, but where it is the 5000, it comes with 140 fitted, but if you wanted to swap it out, you can do, and then a small piece of ventilation at the top for those of you with huge AIOs or water cooling or whatever you may want. On the back, there is a mesh panel with a dust filter on the back. What I do want to say about the door though, and the externals on the case, is Corsair upped the material size, or thickness I should say, to 1mm steel, up from 0.7, so it's much more sturdy. Now this section here, over on this side, I do want to say that there is an additional bracket comes in the case, or in the package I should say, that you can fit this section here, and you do remove this, and I'll show you what you remove from the other side, but the whole section comes off, and then you get to add in some fan mounts. And I do think it's a shame that this isn't InfiniRail, because now I've got InfiniRail, I want everything to be InfiniRail, so I think it's a shame that we've got all of these extra fan mounts. You can see in here though that there are a couple Velcro tabs so that you can cable route if you want to, because you can directly access behind the motherboard. Now one of the things I do want to show you, and this was one of the things that really bothered me, and I'm going to move the lights and everything around just so that we can see it, and effectively I did show you from the top that we could get access into here from the other side. So you can see my hand is going down in there, and that gives us full access down into the motherboard. Motherboard ends here, but there is a solid part here, which means I cannot get my hand up, I cannot get my cables up. And the only way that I can do it is going round the outside of the motherboard where it's visible. But what that does mean is from there upwards there is no direct cable path. There's no direct cable path down. There's no direct cable path over here either. So if your cable comes down in this section here from the other side, then there's nowhere for it to go. So you end up having to backtrack. There should have been a cable cutout here somewhere from the other side, and there should have been a cable cutout on the other side. It's definitely, because if we were to remove this panel and have fans here, there's no direct route for us to be able to bring our, I thought that was thunder and lightning then, there's no direct route for us to bring our iCUE down through or anything. I think this is a bit of a shame, and it literally is just one section here. They should have had a cutout. But there was something else I noticed when building this case, and that was over here, and it was cable routing again. And I'm very surprised for Corsair. The fact it's Corsair. So you can see here, this is my 8-pin CPU power cable. It normally sits up here in the top left-hand corner of your motherboard when you look from the other side. Well, the cutout for the actual 8-pin is right up here, right at the very, very top of the case, right up out of the way. Like, it's actually difficult for me to be able to show you on camera, but it is right up there, not down there where the motherboard is at all. So I needed to go an extra 2 inches up and then 2 inches down, and it meant that it was just too long for my power supply cable, which just so happened to be a Corsair power supply. So what I had to do, luckily I noticed before I was building, is I had to remove the motherboard and then poke the cable through first, and then fit the power cable, and then fit the motherboard. Because there's no way here for me to get an 8-pin up through at all. This was far too long and too much of a stretch as far as I was concerned. And I feel like this is I think a bit of an oversight. It's a very calm and chilled way of saying it, but this shouldn't have happened. We needed to cut out up here where it would normally have been, or a cut out in the tray here for us to have been able to have poked the cable over through to make life easy. There's just no excuse for this at all, and I don't know why you'd want to go right up to the top of the case, out the way, and then come back down, especially if you're running big radiators and stuff. It actually could start causing problems. So this is a very old school thing that I used to do years ago when we didn't have very long power supply cables. It's not something that I particularly want to be doing now, and I just don't think this should have happened on this case at all. So this was one of the other things that I was very disappointed about. And I think very disappointed is a very understated way of me saying raging. There's lots of cable management options down at the bottom. You can see I've just stuffed mine in, but they are all there. I've got plenty in there. One of the things I do want to say about round the back here is you can fit a 3.5 inch hard drive on this, but you can fit a 2.5 inch SSD on here as well. It is meant for us to be able to do things like fit IQ Link bracketry and stuff on it as well. I have mine down at the bottom because I don't particularly like the clutter up here, because you have to have your USB cable, you have to have your power cable, which the power cable is so short, which means you then got an 8-pin, sorry, I lie. You have a 6-pin PCI Express cable that you need to bring up here. Why wouldn't you shove it in the bottom, out the way where you've not got to look at it? So while this is a very nice idea, the power cable for the hub is horrendous. So I wouldn't want to be putting it up here anyway. You can put another 2.5 inch hard drives down here. I do want to state as well that the case is pretty much able to be dismantled, but this motherboard tray can be completely removed. So can the power supply cover and everything on the other side. It can be pulled off left, right and centre. And I suppose I should get round there and show you now. The business side of the case. Tempered glass, tinted at the top. It's the black one. The white doesn't come with a tint. Makes life a bit easier. It's all hinged at the front, which the first time you try and do it, it takes a bit of getting used to, but that's because I've been doing too many cases in the last few days and I've been used to them clipping on at the bottom. So that's a Tom limitation. Hands up, Tom was a doofus. Down the bottom, single screw at the back, which is very tight, but we can do that and then we can remove the lower panel. It comes with a frosted plastic section, which is meant as a shield and but not a dust filter, because the idea is it stops anything being able to get through. But in the package, what you do get is a black version so that you can fit that and then you can't see through it at all. Or there is a perforated version, we'll call it a dust filter, that you can fit, which would allow you to have air coming in the bottom. Now, if you did have air coming in the bottom, good reason for it would be the power supply cover here has mounts for you to be able to fit 120 and 140 millimeter fans. There are a selection of screw holes that you can put in the bottom. There are some baby holes down here as well, but there are plenty of options for you to be able to put fans in down here. What you can actually do, as I've already said, is there are fan mounts in the bottom as well. There is also another hard drive tray in the bottom as well. That would probably be one of the first things I would be hoiking out and throwing away, just so that I could cover and make things a little bit more pretty. But you can have fans in the bottom drawing air in. This section here is completely removable as well. There's a couple of screws at the sides, there's a couple of screws at the back. You can remove this lower tray. One of the things with the 4000D, which I really liked, was the fact that you could remove this, have a spacer in, have fans in, but it would draw air in from the side over here. And it was a 3D printed customizable option. It's one of the very few, I might add, one of two things that Corsair have launched for the 4000 that you can 3D print to customize your case. I think they do need to do very, very much more of that. Another thing that did come in the package was actually quite cool, and it's a Corsair sticker that's meant to kind of go here somewhere. I think I haven't really worked it. Oh, is it the side? Yeah, it might be the side. Okay, it might be. Why would you put it on the side? Okay. Yeah, so you can put this somewhere. It probably in your room. Yeah, put it in your room. I did see it was meant to have gone in the case somewhere, but yeah, put it in your room because I can't see where it's meant to fit. Yes. So when you remove the front panel section to add in the side radiator, it's this bit here. And then you've got this very hard top. So you've got this very useless section up here. Now, this very useless section up here, why is it useless, Tom? Well, you can't put anything in this way, and you can't put anything in that way. So what, you're just going to stash cables up here in a little ball? No, they should have just had it so that it had a nice arc on it or something, and you could have passed cables through it. This feels very unfinished and not Corsair-like. Don't like it. Also, when I was trying to explain to you before about I wasn't able to pass my cables through, if you imagine I've brought cables through from over here, I cannot go directly down here. Why not? Why can't I bring my cables down? This is a beautiful box and shrouded section. I should be able to come down here and up and around, and I can't. Why? You also can't go this way either. So if I want to have my fans over here, I've got a cable literally just tucked in at the top, which is just big enough, which is okay, fair enough, but this should have been covered up. And we should have been able to have had loads of cables come through. Also, if you have a radiator up in this section here, what's to say that you don't want to pass your fan cables across? I just think that they needed a grommet there or something, just so that it was an option. Corsair has got to that point where they're meant to have thought of everything. And this feels like one of those times where they kind of haven't. And weirdly, what it does do is it means that those of us out there with the Dremel can get busy. And we need Corsair to get past that point, because we never used to have to do this. It's only been the subpar stuff from the last few years that's not been that great. And I thought we'd got to a point where we were excited about moving forward and cases were going to be amazing again. This one's leaving me feel a little bit deflated. Anyways, as you can see, up in this section over here, one of the shortfallings with where I've had to do my cable, because I'm using a power supply with resistors, which you might say is really old, Tom, why are you doing it? Well, the warranty on the Corsair power supplies are amazing. So of course I'm still going to be using it because it still works. If I don't need to upgrade it, I'm going to take my power supply out, move it into a new case, and I'm going to love it like I do these. I actually really rate the resistors in the cables, and I should be able to hide this better, and I can't because of the stupid way that I've had to pass the cable through. And it does just make me feel like the 8-pin up here is just, and like they've not allowed for that at all, like not one bit. And again, not really good enough, is it? Yeah, sure, you'd be able to put some easier braided cables through, but where are they going to pass through? You're going to bunch them up right over there? Like, yeah, it's just not cricket, is it? Which is a shame, because the aesthetic of this whole section up here is wonderful. I really, really like it, and it's just some minor details that let the side down. As you can see, I've fitted 140 here, and I've got the 140 in the back as it would have done anyway, but I added one here, and that just suits my air cooler. The air cooler is just, this is the setup that we've been putting in cases for ages. It's not about, you're saying about an AIO. An AIO isn't going to pick up the limitations of case airflow. This is just the best way for us to highlight both great cases and crap cases when it comes to airflow. So don't fixate on this. If you've got an AIO in the roof, then amazing. You're going to have lots of ample room above because you can easily get an AIO in the roof. As I've already said, you can get a 420mm radiator in the roof. You can get a 420mm radiator in the roof, just like the new Titan, which they've sent for me to show you, just to show that they've got a 420 that you can bang in the roof, and it's going to keep your CPU frosty cool. Anyway, so lots of options in here for you to be able to pick apart, design, play with, but also mod to make it better. And I do think it needs it. Okay, so performance. Now, as it comes with the 140, it was never going to break the laws of physics, and without direct airflow going into the graphics card at the bottom, it wasn't going to top any of the charts either. That said, when you take a chill pill about it, it has done incredibly well, and I'm a big personal fan of 140mm fan cases just because they do keep the noise down and they do provide a decent amount of airflow. With 140s in the front and 140s in the roof, you're not going to have any CPU airflow options. And by that I mean, even if you've got an AIO, it's going to be getting fed with ample amounts of air. The rest of the airflow in the bottom is going to be down to what you decide to do to it. Do you add some in the very, very lower section? Do you have them right below your graphics card? Do you need them? I think a lot of it's going to come down to personal tastes, and more often than not, it's just going to come down to you want a bit of extra colour in the bottom, or you want a bit of extra this, and it does give you options. Options. The ability, they do say it's going to be customizable in the future. I think we are in the future a bit now, and I did have a look for the options on the 4000, and they're still very sparse. There's a wood panel for the front, that's it. There's some 3D printed stuff, two things that you can, from Corsair, that you can put on the inside for the smaller model. And I've got to say, I think they should have had stuff available for the reviewers, for you people at home at launch. How, like, this case has so much more to offer, and because the options for you guys aren't there, I don't know about you, but when I look at a case, I go and I imagine what I'm going to do with it right from the get-go. So with a case like this, if I see a metal panel for the front and I like it, I'm going to want it. So them teasing it and it not being available is just a thingy tease, you know, like a man's garment, a man's appendage tease. I'm trying not to get like strikes and stuff on YouTube for swearing, but it is that. And this does have way more to offer than they're letting us have at the moment. So sadly, this whole, oh, in the future, this, and you've got to buy it because you want it now. And do you know what? One of the things that was suggested to me by Corsair is I've been using the old 5000 model for my graphics card test rig for a while, and they said to me, do you want to upgrade? We'll send you a new power supply, new cooling, we'll just set you up so that you can use it for your new test rig. Nope, it's far too unfinished, and despite the fact I know with the Corsair case, the way that I use them, where I'm battering them constantly over and over again, all the graphics cards that have been through that rig in the case has survived. It's one of the reasons why I do like using a Corsair case, is they're built to last. Like, I haven't really had issues with breaking anything. But it's just something about this, it just doesn't excite me. And I don't think it excites them, because if it did, there'd be way more stuff available for it. I can see stuff that could be done with it really easily. Maybe it's the fact that they don't want a million SKUs, so a million options that they've got to produce. But I do think when you have a model like the frame that is meant to be customizable, that you're meant to be able to play with, the brand itself has got to get behind it more as well. And the fact that we have nothing available really to change the front to other than wood, Like, I mean, come on, you could at least put a striped one available, like, just more. And then the cable routing, for me, on the inside was the final nail in the coffin. That 8-pin in the corner, that's not good enough. Like, I could not fit it with a normal power supply cable from Corsair themselves. If there had been an 8-pin slot up in that corner where it should have been, where it normally is, where everybody else would have put one, it would have fit. This definitely needed a little bit more refinement, and I'm surprised that that's not been flagged by someone. Also, that section where I said I couldn't pass a cable through that way or through that way, that again, why do I want to skirt it visibly on a case that's got all of those cable options? They should have come up with a better way of that being open. So I'm a bit disappointed, if I'm honest. I'm a bit deflated. And I'll be honest, like completely honest, you can go and find it online. It's no secret. I saw the 5400 while I was away. This case was designed by the same guy, Mitch. Mitch, the 5400 is, I cannot wait to review that case, like genuinely. But this definitely needed a little bit more time, just a little bit more finesse to get some of the finer details right. Do I think that it can be done? Yes. Could I do it with a Dremel? Yes. But critically, and most importantly, that 8-pin cable, we shouldn't have to do that. There's no excuse for that at all. I'm not going to take anything for it. There was no way for me to be able to fit mine at all with that, with a standard Corsair cable. And if I have to buy big extension cables for a case that's not really that big, when the same cable would have easily fit in the 5000T, or if you had that a grommet there where they normally would have been, it would have fit fine. I don't see why I should be having to spend any extra money on it. And if I do need to buy extension cables, maybe it should have came with one. Like, if that was a conscious option of, oh, you can just buy a longer cable, why didn't it come with a longer cable if it's been designed to need it? So we need more mods. It needed a little bit more refinement. And pardon me, we do need the brand to get on board with these customization things. Now, I did say with the 4000, we would wait and be patient. And I have, and there's nothing come out, which is why I'm a bit butthurt, whingy, moany about it now. So sadly, what I am going to say is a very good case, and if you like it, there's kind of, I'm not going to tell you not to, but at the same time, I most certainly wouldn't be rushing out to buy one either, because I think it's got possibilities, but the possibilities are all like, well, you could do if they do this, you could do if they do that, rather than it is ready now. So if you've got to wait, I think you're going to end up buying something else instead.